It is 7 o'clock, so we're going to get started. Since we're expecting 120 people to join the call, so we ask everyone to remain muted. And if you have a comment or suggestion, please use the raise hand icon at the bottom of your screen so we can see you. So Bob, Joe, and Barry, please help out if we to notice whether or not someone is raising their hand. Unless you use the raise hand icon, you're not popping up to the top of the screen and we might not see you. So thank you for doing that. Um, Also want to let you know that all the info presented today will be posted on the website. Um, under the member info section from the home page after the meeting. And this meeting is being recorded and will be posted tomorrow morning at the same place. It's 7:01. We have, I guess people are still coming on, but we're going to get started. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another discussion about NJ Rotary Initiative. As you know, in September, we presented this opportunity to build a brand new entity consisting of all the Rotary clubs in New Jersey. The NJ Rotary Steering Committee consists of an equal number of representatives from the 3 districts working together. There are 5 steering committee members from our district, me as an advisor, and 4 voting members. They are DGE Bob, DGN Joe, our learning leader, and Rotary Foundation Annual Fund Chair, Assistant Governor Kalpana, and President Jeff from the Greater New Brunswick Club. Since then, we've had ongoing communications and meetings to give you updates, to discuss the facts of the proposal, and to answer your questions, as well as posting all the information on our website. We want to make sure that all our members are well informed so our clubs can make the best decision for our future. One thing I know for sure is that we're here today because we all love Rotary and would like to see Rotary as a vibrant, relevant, and impactful organization that makes lives better, not only in our local communities, but around the world for generations to come. We're asking you to consider an innovative idea to do away with the current structure and work together to create a forward-thinking structure where you can participate in the designing, forming, and implementing this new organization. We have worked so hard to rebuild our district, and we need to continue to do our best to move our district forward. DGN Joe, would you like to add something? Joe.
All of you have watched President-elect Mario's video, which has been on the district website for a while, and it was also playing before we all came on. His theme is, of course, Unite for Good. And last September, Governor Jeannie, Governor-elect Bob, and myself went to Toronto for training. And we were also addressed by President-elect Mario. And his theme was very clear. To revitalize Rotary, we must do 3 things. We must innovate, we have to have continuity, and we must form partnerships. Now, we all know the world is changing and we must evolve with it. In fact, in Toronto, President-elect Mario had a quote from an Italian writer, Giuseppe Tomasi. And Tomasi wrote in his political doctrine that in order to maintain the status quo, we must accept change. Let me say that again, because it sounds counterproductive. In order to maintain the status quo, we must accept change. So even if we wanted things to stay the same, we still have to change. So if you're a Rotary Club member and you're having a wonderful experience, fantastic. But I think with innovation and change, I think it'll be a much more rewarding experience. And if you're a Rotarian who's somewhat dissatisfied with what's going on, this is your chance. This is your chance to help with the innovation, your chance to be a part of something, to grow something, and to keep you engaged and to keep you involved. So I'll just close with Mario's words again. Let us unite for good. Let's not let divisiveness deter us from our goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Now, we're turning the program over to Bob. Bob?
All right, good evening, everyone. It's so far we've got 83 people here tonight, which is a really good turnout. It's gratifying that we have so many people showing up, so many people that are interested in what's going on here. So, we've conducted, I think, 7 Q&A sessions so far, including video or Zoom and the live event we had last week. I don't know that we're still not getting the word across. So tonight we're going to try harder and we'll see what we can do and see what we can accomplish. The main thing we're going to do to start tonight is to address the emails that were sent out over the last week by a group of past district governors. We're going to go through one of those in detail because there were a lot of misstatements in there, and also one of those statements leads us to what I believe is the core for this project. So it's a good starting point. We're then going to cover some of the highlights of the first letter that was sent out. And then at that point, we're going to turn it over to you and we're going to answer questions. So I'm going to spend a few minutes going through some of the key points. And then after that, we'll please hold your questions and we'll get through all of the questions that everybody has. If we have to stay here for hours, we'll do it. All right. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is an email that was sent out by past District Governor Michael Hart. And on the screen, you're going to see, and these are copied exactly as written, claims from his first email, or his email yesterday, that Rotary International wants districts to be a certain size, minimum 1,000 members with between 40 to 60 clubs. Rotary wants to keep districts to a smaller size to ensure the government can easily visit, and so on. And then talks about the fact that after July 1st will be double the size Rotary considers to be an ideal district. Well, all that sounds great until you read what Rotary actually says. And that's published in their code of policies. And when I say code of policies here, this isn't the book of suggestions or a manual of ideas. This is Rotary International's policies telling us what we should be working towards as a district and as clubs. And in here, you'll see that what they say is because districts that have large membership base are more effective than districts with fewer clubs and Rotarians, the board encourages all districts to strive to have at least 75 clubs and 2,700 members. The larger districts will have a larger pool of qualified Rotarians from which to select governors, assistant governors, and other leaders, more resources for carrying out large-scale sustainable projects, greater potential for raising Rotary's visibility, larger and more dynamic conferences and meetings, more effective learning events for clubs and district leaders. This is, as I said, from Rotary International's policies. This particular version was published in October of 2024, so it's not even 6 months old at this point. And everything that we're doing with New Jersey Rotary points towards what this policy is recommending. Rotary does not have a policy of smaller districts. Rotary hasn't had a policy of smaller districts for a very long time. What you see up here was written a number of years ago. And, it's one of the things that we talked about when we first got together and we're talking about the whole concept of New Jersey Rotary. The fact that it gives us a bigger base to work from and a bigger voice in the state of New Jersey. And this is the foundation for what we're going to be talking about tonight. This isn't something that we made up in our district. It wasn't something that was made up by the 3 districts getting together. This is part of a bigger picture. I just came from the International Assembly, which is where Mario spoke. Got to meet people from all over the world there. The same thing that we're considering here in New Jersey is being worked on in Australia, and it's being worked on in Scotland. We are not alone with this. We are not the first in the United States. As has been written in a few of these emails, this concept started in upstate New York with what's called CNY Rotary, Central New York Rotary, which has almost somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,700, 2,800 members. So ideally sized based on what Rotary is looking for and what they've published in the Code of Policies. Second claim that was made in the email from Mr. Hart is that this is being pushed on us without transparent discussion. We've had 20 district communications go out so far, 7 district meetings. I've personally talked to many clubs. I've been on phone calls with clubs. I've been at club live meetings talking about this. At the meetings that we've held, we've answered every question that's been given to us. And if we couldn't answer it there, we got back to the people with the best answers that we have at this point in time. We set up a website where all of the information that we have with respect to New Jersey Rotary is published. It's available for download. It's available for reading. There's FAQs, contact information, the meeting recordings. All of those things are up there. This is what I think the 5th meeting like this that we've had in the last 2 weeks. So I think that the claim of transparency doesn't quite ring true with me. There was another claim made that Rotary has disbanded District 7490, which is Bergen, Hudson, and Passaic counties, because their membership fell below 1,000, and they're putting those clubs in our district starting in July of 2026. This statement is also not true. District 7490 is a functioning district. They haven't been disbanded. Their DGE is in my class and will be starting as district governor July 1st. They're part of our multi-district PELs and are very actively involved in the development of PELs. And we're also partnering with them on our RILA program for this year. It's also not true that District 7490 is going to be combined with us in 2026. We don't know that yet. That decision is made by the Rotary International Board, and they have not made that decision. It's not final. So we don't know what's going to happen to Rotary or District 7490. What we do know, the language that's on there from the Code of Policies, says the board may change the boundaries of a district with fewer than 20 clubs or 1,100 Rotarians, or merge clubs in these districts with adjacent districts. So that we know that something's going to happen. They don't have a district governor for 2027, but for 2026, but we don't know what that solution is going to be. So We've been in very productive discussions with them about the potential of New Jersey Rotary, but we're a long way from that point right now. In the email or the letter that was sent out by Barry, there were a number of points raised in there, and a lot of it reflects back to things that have happened in the past. One of which was, constant comparison of New Jersey Rotary to the mergers that have been done. The last one we had was 2018, I believe. Problem is that we're comparing apples to oranges here. Mergers have struggled historically because they made the changes, the geography grew, the organization grew, but nothing was changed about the structure. The same people remained in place and fought for control. Nothing was done differently except it was made bigger. And that is absolutely not what we're talking about with New Jersey Rotary. And I think it's important that we learn from the past, but we can't repeat it when we're trying to fix problems. And as Mario pointed out, we have a significant problem in Rotary with our membership, and as we're trying to prepare for the future. You cannot just continue to look backwards. You cannot keep things the way they are, and expect that it's going to change and improve. And that's what we're talking about here tonight, folks. And we've got to figure out how we're going to break the barrier, which has held Rotary back for years now, in terms of trying to retain all of the traditions when the world around us is changing and changing dramatically. If everything we do relates back to what we know and what we've done, we're never going to be able to move forward. We need to get rid of the box. And I'm going to, get a little bit pointed here, but I think it needs to be done. Paul Harris was 37 years old when he founded Rotary. And the drive to change and innovate historically has come from the young and those with fresh perspectives. We have had a letter and an email now from 20-some past district governors, and we did the research. The average age of these fine folks is 79 years old with 34 years of Rotary experience. We should thank them for what they've done, but we cannot continue to live in the past. And the fact is that when you're 79 years old with 34 years of experience, it is very, very difficult to think differently. And we're facing that challenge right now. Those were the leaders that were there as our membership has declined over the past 20 years. And if we continue to do the same thing, membership is going to continue to decline, and Rotary will become less of an organization on an annual basis. We see it not only here, we see it across the United States, we see it in Canada, we see it in Japan, we see it in Great Britain, we see it in Australia. All of the developed countries are experiencing the same difficulties. And when I talk to fellow Rotarians, fellow district governor-elects, district governors from around these districts, from around certainly the United States and Canada, it's always the same issue of people reluctant to change that are creating the problems in districts and clubs moving forward. We have to make some changes. It's going to be painful, it's going to be tough, but it's something that we need to do. We've got to get rid of the box. It's not a matter of thinking outside the box. We got to get rid of the box. New Jersey Rotary is about giving new members a chance. One of the biggest complaints that we've received is that there's no plan in place. There's no details in place. What are we voting on? New Jersey Rotary is about giving our newer members, our members with that want to look to the future, a chance to get involved in the process of developing a new organization, and an organization that can take Rotary into the future, not an organization that's been built on how Rotary functioned in the past. There was a comment made in the letter about, district governors should be able to visit all of the clubs. I don't know. Maybe that's not the role of a district governor today. Maybe the role of a district governor or a leader of an organization like this is to be reaching out to partners, reaching out to government and other organizations that we can work with. Maybe the role of the district governor is to be looking to the future, not driving around and spending most of their time meeting with current Rotarians. Not saying it's not important that we all get together, but I really don't believe that should be the role of the leader. You don't expect the CEO to be out visiting every bank branch and every satellite office. They do enough to understand what's going on, and then they start to be able to make decisions based on the information that they gather. The teams that we're looking to put together for New Jersey Rotary to develop it are going to come from our clubs and the clubs of the other two districts. And they're going to be selected to be a mix of experienced Rotarians and younger Rotarians working together. And we have 2 years to complete this process. New Jersey Rotary does not start until July 1st of 2027. We don't need to have all of the details in place in April of 2024 or 2025 when we're looking ahead 2 years to get this thing in place. That's the whole point of it, is to get people involved in the process and developing the organization so it meets their needs. It doesn't meet the needs that existed 10, 20, 30 years ago. That's not what this is about. This has been on the website. It's been talked about, but we'll go through it again. The purpose of the New Jersey Rotary is to support the local clubs. Nothing that we're talking about with New Jersey Rotary affects the autonomy or the local nature of our clubs. That is the backbone of Rotary. That is what Rotary is built on. And what we're talking about here is an organization that will be better capable of helping the clubs to meet the needs of today's world and the changes. We have 74 clubs in our district. I looked back over the last 5 years, going back to 2020, so through the COVID period and everything. 52 or 53 of those clubs lost membership over that period of time. And the other clubs gained a bit of membership, but we still lost roughly 250 members during that period of time in total. And the majority of our clubs, 75% of our clubs, are losing membership on an annual basis. That continues today. And, frankly, we're doing better than a lot of districts, but we're still not where we need to be. So, and, just so you know, the membership of 7505, the district in southern New Jersey, is almost identical to ours. We vary between 10 and 20 apart on a monthly basis, and 7490 to our northeast is about half of our size. So we're bringing together two districts that are of comparable size and one that has been struggling and is a little bit smaller. But, all three districts have been losing membership, and all three districts have been losing at about the same rate. It's not that one has been doing significantly better than the other. And when we look across the country, the United States during that period of time, during the last 20 years, has lost about 30% of our members. And in New Jersey, we've lost about 40%. Having a single New Jersey Rotary will provide us, as is called for in the Code of Policies, for greater brand exposure in New Jersey. A larger and unified organization will be better equipped to provide support to the clubs. And we're going to be able to draw from a larger pool of members to staff the organization. Importantly, we're starting from a clean slate. We're not putting two districts together and calling it something new. It's going to be a new organization. That's the whole point of it. And to continue to refer back to the fact that we don't have all the plans in place really is an indication to me that we haven't done a good enough job in explaining what the primary purpose here is. So I think with that, we will start to take some questions. As Jeannie said, the documents, the email and the letter that were sent out with our point-by-point responses to all of the issues and questions and all raised will be available on the website after this meeting is done. The slide deck will be available on the website this evening as well, and then the video of tonight's meeting will be available tomorrow. I think at the end of the day, what we're talking about here is a choice between trying to preserve the status quo and continuing to have an organization that's declining, or to take a chance and move forward with a new direction. And we'll take now and open it up for questions.
Bob, if I could just interrupt for a moment. Some people have been asking, how do I raise my hand? And so let me give that instruction. On your screen, you have a toolbar at the bottom of it. And one of the items on the toolbar is called React, and it has a little heart above it. If you click on that heart, that's where you can raise your hand.
Thank you for that, Barry.
All right,
Bruce,
Jeannie, why don't you control the questions and who's up next?
sure, I can do that. So, Bruce, you have a comment or question? First, you need to, yep. Thank you for unmuting yourself.
Thank you, District Governor. I've been a Rotarian for more than 40 years. I've been president of the Cranford Club a number of times. And, and Bob, quite frankly, I found your comments concerning Michael Hart's letter dismissive, conclusory, and quite frankly, insulting when you referred to the past district governors that signed it. And I find that very troubling. Some of you may recall, was one of the people who raised my voice, concerned about the decertifying of our district a few years ago and how that process was handled. And I thought that was done with a lack of clarity. And to this date, we've never gotten a real answer from Rotary International about that. But I was convinced that we had no choice and went along, and I have continued to support the district since that time. But it concerns me that we're once again, I think, being asked to just take it on faith that this is the correct thing to do. From what I want to say that I went back and I listened to two of the videos that were done in the past couple of weeks. I read the materials that have been put out, and I find there more than a lack of specificity, which there clearly is. There's a lack of anything. Essentially, we're being asked to vote to put into place a plan that we don't know what it's going to be yet, and we don't know how it will look, but by 2 years from now, we'll know what it is. I would like to suggest, let me just go back, and one of the reasons for that is how can we ask people to volunteer their time to put together a new structure if they don't know that that's going to be accepted? I don't accept that argument. Those of us who volunteer for Rotary, we do it for the best of our clubs and the district. And it seems to me that the vote at this time should be, do we want to move forward with trying to come up with a plan that will be acceptable? Not let's just say we're moving ahead and we'll figure out what we're doing as we go along. I just don't think that that's the proper way to do it. What I keep hearing is the reason we're doing this is membership. But on the same token, we're told, but the function of the clubs won't change. This is above the club level. Well, if we're not changing what the clubs are doing, this is not going to affect membership. It just, I don't see anything that's being discussed, even as a possibility, it is automatically and magically going to make membership not a problem anymore. Increasing the size of the structure, to me, if anything, is counterproductive from helping the local clubs with the issue with membership. I believe that the proposed district for the entire state of New Jersey is too big. If you to travel from one end of New Jersey to the other end, uh, not only is it a long distance on the road, but it's a different culture. We're taking North Jersey and South Jersey, and I just don't see that there's necessarily a good fit to doing that and how that's going to help. If having a bigger structure, having more people to work with will help, if branding is better statewide, and I don't know that that's true, but that's what's been argued, then let's get a cooperative agreement together between the three districts. We can work together. We could do publicity statewide. We don't have to be part of the same district to do that. It almost seems to me that the argument is making a change for change's sake, but we don't know what we're going to change to, and I find that troubling. Um, I think this is a mistake only because we don't know what we're voting for, and I suggest that there needs to either be more specificity or more planning or more discussion before we vote on it. I'm not ready to recommend to the members of our club, my club, that this is a good idea for Rotary and our district. I appreciate everything that Jeannie and the team is doing, but quite frankly, after some of the representations and things that were said concerning the decertification of our district, I find it difficult to necessarily just accept what you say because you say it. And I don't mean to insult anybody, but I think the members of our clubs are entitled to know more before we vote on what could be a very, very dramatic change. Thank you all.
Thank you, Bruce. Bob?
Let's move on.
Okay. I got a message here that John would like to speak before Michael. So John, if
Thank
that's
you,
okay with
Governor.
Michael.
Thank you, Governor. First of all, ditto to Bruce. He said it a lot more eloquently than I could, but he certainly has made the case for how I personally feel about this situation. Governor Jeannie, I have two questions for you. I don't need an answer right away, but I also have a comment. So let me go through the questions so you have them, and then I will make the comment as the last thing that I would say. And by the way, I'm below the average age of the past district governors, but I'm also above the number of years in Rotary than the average number of past district governors. As a matter of fact, on March 1st, I will be celebrating 52 years as a Rotarian because I started pretty young. Governor Jeannie, the first question is, what is the charge to the working group that's been out there representing our district? And the second question is, where is the RI director, Chris Ation, on this activity? Does she have a position? But let me move on to my comment. We heard today from Bob Law the status of 7490. I used to be a member of that district before I came over to our district. There's an opportunity there because of their size, because of their difficulty. Instead of waiting until
the RI board decides what their fate will be beyond 2026. This is an opportunity for you as our district leader to talk to the folks there, because we could become a region that would have about 113 clubs and about 20, well, maybe 24, 2,500 Rotarians, very much fitting the profile of what Bob Loss shared with us a little earlier. And it would solve the issue of South Jersey versus North Jersey, because we'd all be North Jersey. The culture would be the same. So that's an opportunity for us to rise to the occasion and perhaps make a proposal that would solve some of the issues that 7490 is facing at the current time. And I'm just wondering if this team, the five of you, have even discussed that. The thought that maybe we could do something that's less than the entire state, but would move us into regionalization in a different way. It would also, if we were to do that, we would be about the same size as Central New York, as opposed to being much, much larger as one whole state. That completes my comment, Governor Jeannie. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, John, thank you. I can quickly give you a short answer so we can move on to Michael. The goal or objective of the overall steering committee is to form, to build, to create a district, like we said earlier and all along, a district which consists of all the clubs in the state of New Jersey. And as far as our director, Chris, she is involved in this process. She is aware of the process from the very, very beginning. And Chris joined us at our last steering committee meeting. And so she's up to date to what we're doing. And we have a representative from the CNY Rotary, the president, the current president of that organization. She's part of the committee. And also we have an RI representative, our former director, Drew, who's been with us since the very beginning.
Well, I should have asked another question then, Governor Jeannie. That is, would this team, your team, be
Our
open?
district team?
Yes, your district, would they be open to looking at partnering with 7490 as opposed to the entire state?
Well, that discussion actually was raised about when was that? That was last May. So many months ago, before we regained our district status. And at that point, the answer at that point was that that we were not going to after consulting with our RI advisor at that point, Julia, our response was that we were not going to engage in that discussion.
You may
So
want to
as far
revisit.
as currently, right, after we started the NJ Rotary process, that was not one of the considerations for this group. We are working with the other two districts together.
Well, there's an opportunity there that you could seize on our behalf. Thank you.
Thank you.
We
Michael?
are working today with 7490 on our RILA program for this year. It's a joint program between the two districts. They're part of our multi-district PELs, and we work very closely with them on that. I have a very good relationship with Cynthia, the current district governor-elect up there. You know, we're classmates. We've been in all the classes together. We were just at the International Assembly together. We talk all the time and have close communication. But that opportunity hasn't been presented to us at this point. And as I said, you know, in my prior comments, we don't know yet what decision is going to be made. We can certainly talk to people, but it's not our decision to make at the end of the day.
Thank you. Michael.
Hi, thank you for calling on me. So I'd like to comment on Bob Law's comments about my email. And I'm in favor of joining with 7490. I think that would make sense, but I'm opposed to an entire statewide. The last time we joined two districts together, the 7470 and 7510, we spent a year of planning. We set up and we included all the past district governors and all the administrative types. And we set up a set of bylaws. So before we joined together, we had a very clear plan of what we were doing. That's the opposite of what's happening here. So I think we should postpone this vote until we have a clear idea of what's going on. That's number one, that we don't have any plans. Number two, and I saw Bob Law only pick part of my email. He left out the other part. The three districts that joined and became Central New York District, which is called District 7180, and they do have the same structure. I was at their website yesterday. They have the same structure. They call president district governor, and they have 24 assistant governors. So it's the same model as what we have now. They're not reinventing the wheel. It's the same thing. They're just using different words. 7490 has 39 clubs and 941 people. We have 74 clubs, 1775. Combined, we will have 113 clubs, 2716. And Bob Law showed that that RI likes larger districts. They like 75 clubs and 2,700 people. Well, we'll have more clubs than that. We'll have 113 instead of 75. So that's real, that's pretty good. That's the same size as Central New York, just if we combine with 7490. If we combine with the southern part of the state, we're going to have 184 clubs and 4,464 members. And all of these PDGs who are opposed to this merger, they have visited every single club. And they know that the reason you do that is each club is unique, has different issues, and they need the expertise from the governor to help them solve their problems. And maybe the world is changing. Maybe you guys are right. Maybe we're all old guys. But sending out an email and saying, stand on your head, that doesn't get everybody to stand on their head. And doing video training, well, maybe that makes sense. But they need the personal touch where the governor is an expert, goes to the club and suggests solutions to them. And so that's the reason. And I just called Rotary International yesterday. They said the average club, they prefer to have districts 40 to 60. Now, in terms of the transparent comment, that was in reference to the fact that we're not allowed to send emails to each other on Club Runner, which is fine. I mean, that's up to Jeannie. So I'm in favor of merging with 7490, but not the whole state. And I think we should plan this more. We don't have to rush into it right now. We could have all these meetings and go through the process and set up bylaws. Thought there was one more thing.
Let me ask a question, Michael.
Sure.
How's what we've been doing working?
I think that Jeannie might have been to our club, but I don't remember. But our club is in disarray. We don't have a president for next year. We've been losing members. And nationwide, every district is losing members in North America. And I think that's just the way Rotary is. I think it's not as relevant or as prestigious as it used to be, which breaks my heart because I've been a Rotarian for 42 years. And I love Rotary.
Well, I can tell you that I absolutely fundamentally disagree with what you just said.
Well, okay,
I
that's fine.
believe, I believe, having come from, we're talking here about the culture of South Jersey. And, I joke a little bit about this in the response that you're going to be able to read. We might never get over the Eagles versus the Giants, but I sat down and had dinners and discussions with people from all over the world 2 weeks ago. There were Rotarians there of every color, every nationality, some that couldn't speak our language. We figured it out how to do it. We had a working group together of somebody from Finland, from Iceland, from Spain, from Mexico, and we all worked together because we're all Rotarians. And the attitude was very different. It is a let's figure out what we can do attitude. Let's not have a woe is me attitude. And Michael, I'm 72 years old. I'm not a young person. I'm not looking at myself as being the future of Rotary, but I've been fortunate in life to have worked in an industry that required change on an annual basis, required you to work with young people. We sold products to young people. Most of my staff was half my age, and you learn that they look at things very differently. And I believe that if we embrace young people in a manner that's different than what we're doing today, outside of the structure that we have, that they will embrace Rotary because Rotary believes in the same things that they do. People getting along, people working together, working across cultures. That is much more of a modern phenomenon than it was in our generation. And until we allow those young people to be involved and be driving the ship, we're going to continue to have the same problems we're having today.
Well, I respect your opinion. I'm 72 also, by the way. So we're both old guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
There are some questions that we can quickly address. Does 7490 get a vote? If not, why not? 7490 does not get to vote like the way that we're asking our clubs to do, because this is a mandate for them because of their membership issues. Hope that answered your question, Lois. Also, regarding district communication, Carol Jenkins from, I believe, Carol, you're from East Orange, if I remember correctly, that you've sent email to me 2 weeks ago, and you were very disappointed that that you did not get a response from me. This is an experience that you never had before. I think all of you on this call, I can safely say that will say that about our leadership team. We respond to our emails, and I have to say that, Carol, I did not receive any email from you. I don't know what happened, but for those of you who want to contact any one of us, we do answer all our emails, texts, phone calls, you name it. So, Carol, I will reach out to make sure that that we're connected. So, thank you for your comments. Also, uh, uh, if 79 joins with 7475, it is a merger or acquisition. Bob mentioned earlier that we don't know if we're not going ahead with the NJ Rotary structure, we do not know, and we don't have any indication at this point as to exactly what's going to happen to 7490. So the answer is we really don't know. All right. Moving on. Kristen.
Hi, good evening. Be a newer voice and face for most of you. Pardon my cold. I'm not in the habit of introducing myself by age, but it feels relevant to this discussion. So I'll share with you all that I just celebrated my 49th birthday. That is fewer than the number of years that some of you have been Rotarians. I've been a Rotary member for just 1 year. I'm with the Rotary Club of Denville. However, I know our co-presidents and some other officers are on this call, and they will attest that I have jumped in full force. Very honored to be asked to fill a vacancy on the board when I was only with the club for 6 months. That is to say that I am young, that I'm very interested, or younger than some of you, very interested in the future of Rotary. In my corporate career, I led teams through no fewer than 6 mergers and acquisitions, some that were by our choice, others that were forced on us. So this is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. And all of that being said, I'm concerned that, hearing that the mandate of the organization was to form the district and not to search for answers to a problem. I work in a field where it is best to find recommendations for problems to solve. And while I appreciate that membership is down, while I appreciate that the relevance and perhaps known prestige of Rotary is not what it used to be, and we'd like to get it back there, I haven't in any of the Q&As and anything on the district webpage, and I've read nearly everything I can find. And even in tonight's recap from Bob, I have not heard yet how this formation of a single large, very, very large, larger than ever done before in the US group would solve the problems of membership. So it's like you're saying more resources. What does that mean? Resources to do what? How does a club in Morris County, Bergen County, Monmouth County benefit by merging with clubs outside of the Philadelphia area? What are the gains? And I thank Barry for his email outlining a lot of the concerns of planning that's not done yet. And while I understand some details have to be left until a deal is done, I would like to hear some concrete examples of what the problem is and how this group would solve those problems.
So one of the core elements of the structure of New Jersey Rotary is much more of a team approach to things. Rotary traditionally has had a district governor, the district governor in a district. That district governor, like most leadership positions in Rotary, turns over every year. And depending on the relationship between the previous governor and the new governor and the next governor, you could have very different experiences from a leadership standpoint within the organization. That cohesiveness, and if you had a chance to listen to any of the presentation that we were playing before this started from our incoming Rotary International president, he spends a lot of time talking about ways to improve the transition year to year of leadership. And one of the core elements of New Jersey Rotary is a team approach and a team structure. The other thing that is being looked at and discussed is how do we break New Jersey up into regions or manageable areas? And that is also part of the team approach, because by having people that are dealing, let's say, with 30 clubs or 35 clubs at on a regional level, those people start to get the experience that they need to be able to properly manage in a district environment, managing multiple clubs and working together in more of a, if you're from corporate, more of a board and chair approach rather than the approach that we have today with a governor that manages everything, and then you have people that are focused on membership or foundation or whatever. This would be putting together a team that is working across the clubs and working with the clubs, so that you're building a base, you're building a group of people that have the experience in working together. We've been very fortunate recently with myself working with Jeannie and Joe. that the three of us work well together. I've seen, in districts not too far from us where that isn't the case. And if you don't have a good team working together, and again, Mario pointed this out very vividly in his presentation, it is a disaster. And trying to put together a structure that really enables that and almost forces it to be part of how the organization is run is one of the core elements of what we're talking about with New Jersey Rotary. And breaking down this reliance on a single individual in a key position that changes on an annual basis and spreading it out more so that you have much greater continuity from year to year and from area to area within the state. It is a very different approach than what we're used to, and especially for those who were here when New Jersey, I think, had 5 districts not that long ago, much smaller, much more compact. But Zoom and other technologies, cell phones, all of those things have made it easier to start thinking about, moving out to larger geographic areas and still being able to be in touch, with the people that you're working with. And I understand where the challenges come from and being able to understand that. And that's why, having people like you involved, like yourself, I was through a major merger and consolidation at a corporate level. Can be a nightmare. And, the bad thing there is at the end of it, you typically are laying people off and, downsizing to make it all make sense. That's the last thing we want to do. So we've got to figure out how to bring this together and grow. And it's, the answers are not all there right now. There's no question about that. But that's also one of the benefits of this, in that getting the right, right group of people together, we can build something that is very different than what hasn't been working. I mean, the one thing I know is if we keep doing what we're doing, we're going to get the same results. We got to figure out how to change and improve this. And the reason that New Jersey is being looked at for this is because of the population density of New Jersey and the relatively compact size that we are as a state. And the feeling was that New Jersey would be a perfect place to attempt to do something like this just because of the size. I mean, look, we've been working with the people in 7505. And again, I mean, we joke about it, they're Eagles fans. I'm a Giants fan. But other than that, the differences, I don't believe, are caused by the fact that they're north and south. It's just a different Rotary experience. And I have the confidence that that's the least of our problems in bringing this together. So that's where we are.
Thanks,
But
Bob.
your question is a good question, and it's good to have people that have had experience, doing this at the corporate level. Because one of the things that we're trying to do is bring a little bit more of a business-like, not corporate structure where we're ordering people around and that kind of stuff, but more of an organizational approach than we've had in the past. The reason for district governors in the past was to honor people who had served for a long period of time, were pillars in the community, those type of things. We don't have a line of people waiting to be district governors today. So.
Thanks. That answer did help.
Thank you. Bob here in the chat box talked about if a decision, yes decision were made, this is going to be a start of a 2 or 3 year process to design and build NJ Rotary. Absolutely, Bob. We are talking about this organization to start July 1st of 2017. So yes, to answer your question.
2027.
I mean, 2027, yes. Thank you. And Megan says, sounds like the team doesn't really change like the DG process. Is this the case? Bob, you can talk a little bit about nomination and team.
We will definitely be, well, definitely, we will, all of the discussion is we're moving away from district governor in terms of the title of the person that's going to be, you know, at the top of the team. In CNY in upstate New York, they call that person the president. We've had discussions about whether president or chair or other title is more appropriate. I've already announced, you know, at meetings in the past, I am not going to be using the district governor title in next year, starting July 1st. I'm going to be the leadership team chair. And the approach that I'm going to be taking to start is going to be much more of a team approach, trying to bring together a group of people that are, you know, willing to put in the time and get involved and do the work and look at a completely different structure for running things and trying it out. This has been done before in a couple of other districts. It's worked, and we'll see what happens. So
Okay,
I am focused on trying to do things differently.
thank you. We're going to Michael.
Good evening. I'll not tell you how old I am, but I will be 77 next month. You can figure that out. I just had a couple questions. I'm really not opposed to changing, certainly. I think some of the things that have been talked about as far as to be done, some of them sound like they're already partially done, and that would be what, Bob, what you just said about there's a structure and you're going to be the leadership chair. So it sounds like it's gotten further along in forming a structure than I've heard up to this point. But besides
Just to be clear, Michael, what I was talking about was our district. I'm not talking about, my
Okay,
reference to the chair was not for New Jersey Rotary.
Okay, that wasn't clear. Okay. Well, yeah, one thing rolled into another, so I assumed you were still talking about NJ Rotary. Okay, thank you. But really, my first question was, before we got involved in that, has anybody surveyed our members to find out if there are people out there and ready, willing, and able to jump into this examination of what this new structure should be? Because you talked about it's important to have a mix of people involved, which I agree, of course. You definitely want young people, which I definitely agree with. But do we know even if there are a number of young people out there in Rotary that even want to or will spare the time to be able to do this? I'm just curious. That's this question, you know, what's been done to find out? For poll the members, for example. Have the district members been polled as to whether they would be willing to participate and give an idea of how much time would be involved? That's question one. Question two would be a follow-up to that, and that is, I think that should be done and more work done on the framework, and then the proposal come back and say, okay, we did have these teams made up of Rotarians throughout our district and the other districts who worked on this, and here's their recommendation. This is the structure. This is how it would work. And answer some of the questions that were raised, maybe perhaps in Barry's email and others raised tonight. But I don't think the work has been done far enough yet to be able to say, hey, everybody, vote on this. Let's go down this new path. It may very well be the right solution, but I don't feel comfortable, and I would not recommend this to my club without having more work done. So those are my two questions, issues, whatever you want. And thank you.
Jeannie, do you want to speak to the people that have stepped
Sure.
up?
Some of you may remember we had several meetings with our newer Rotarians. Approximately 50% of district with new members who joined in the past 5 years. So we had these meetings, some online, actually one in person to talk to not younger, but newer Rotarians, right? To talk about their experience, to talk about what kind of changes that they would like to see, to talk about what would enhance their Rotary experience, and also to solicit volunteers who will be willing to work on some of these initiatives. NJ Rotary, and what we're talking about here being some of the opportunities. And of course, we're very happy to find that we do have volunteers from the pool of newer Rotarians. And of course, these meetings, we were hoping that, of course, if you look about what, 800 Rotarians are newer Rotarians in the past 5 years, we did not get most of the people to attend these meetings. But from the group that we have met with, talked to, communicated with, the talent and the willingness to volunteer, they're definitely there. So I don't think we're short of resources once we open up the pool for these opportunities. And Bob, you want to supplement what we have been doing so far in terms of expanding the volunteer pool?
No, I think you've covered it. I mean, we've made the decision to try and bring some of these people together and have meetings with them and all specifically to get them engaged. And I think we have to give them a structure and all that they're comfortable with. I mean, look, the favorite story I tell, Jeannie had invited one to one of our meetings to give a presentation on posting on social media, and the guy was on a treadmill at the gym and gave us the presentation from his cell phone as comfortably as if he was sitting at a computer someplace. And it's a different mindset, a different way of doing things. And we've got to figure out how we can incorporate that into the organization and take advantage of it.
And that was a tutorial on how to utilize AI to improve our public image. So that was very impressive. Yeah, definitely. Ray.
Okay, good evening. First, before I go any further, I do want to extend my appreciation to the steering committee for all the hours they've logged in. It's been a lot of work. As Michael Hart said, back in 2016, we started all the meetings and whatnot between the two districts for the 2018 merger, and it was a lot of work, right? So this is very similar, I'm sure, and I do appreciate the effort you've given. That being said, I really don't have questions, but I got a few comments I'd like to. And first off, we talk about change. It was implied in some of the communication that we don't want to change, and if we don't change, we're going to die. And I get all that. I will also contend for the last decade, 9 years anyhow, we have done nothing but change. 2016, we got into discussions. We decided there was a merger going to take place. We worked diligently for a year and a half, year and 3/4 to put a merger together. We merged for 20 months. We were learning. We were getting to know each other. John Wilson and I beat the bushes, and we went back and forth to the Southern clubs frequently because we wanted to be a known face. We wanted to understand who they were, right? 20 months in, we have a pandemic, right? Who would have thunk? But I'll tell you, you want to talk about change? The whole world changed when the pandemic hit. But within 2 weeks, our district was up and running on Zoom. We didn't go dark, and our club stood up, and they did a great job. They stood up, and they did so much in their communities over that period of time. I even made a book out of it, right? It was incredible. It was an opportunity for Rotary to really flex its muscles and show its community what they were all about. Then we came out of the pandemic and we had some governance issues, and that led to the undistricting, right? Tell me that it was still change, not necessarily positive change, but that was a change, and we all had to deal with it, right? And Walco and myself dealt with it quite frequently until such time as we were relieved when we finally got a few people nominated, and our advisor attention was taken elsewhere to the DGE chain, to the district governor chain, right? So we've changed, and I will tell you, in our conversations, I'll say one thing: you've galvanized the past district governors over this issue, but in those conversations, I will also share with you that the fact is, almost to a person, people are willing to change. They're willing to fix. If we want to change the way we are, what we do within our current district, or if we are mandated to merge with 74, we're willing to change. We'll embrace anything to make the organization better. We all love Rotary, right? And across the board, I will assume good intentions. I think everybody on this phone call loves Rotary, right? We only want Rotary to succeed. I will tell you, I think we bit off more than we can chew with this particular model. I think it's too much. We're based it on a central New York. There are 100 districts approximately in the U.S., right? 99 of them, or 98, operate the same way we do, right? Same prescribed model. CNY is the one that's different, and that's the one they want us to adopt. I got to be fair to them. They're 8 months in, but they're going through growing pains, and they've lost quite a few members so far, and by year end, they're expected to lose a lot of members. That could change, but I will tell you the forecasting models have held pretty true. That being said, 2 years, 3 years down the road, maybe they turn a corner and maybe they're the best things in sliced bread. I don't know, right? They could be. They could be. But what's the hurry? Why can't we revisit that? If we vote yes now, there's no turning back. There's no turning back. Really, right now, our major goal should be concentrating on our membership and growing our membership. And how do you do that? It's not simple. It's a lot of work. You got to roll up your sleeves. You have to go to work, right? I heard last week, Rotary's got these new models. These new models have been around for like 8 years, right? Satellite clubs, cause-based clubs, right? They can happen. They can work. But yeah, someone's got to do the work, right? They just don't happen overnight. I will tell you 2 districts in our zone, right? And if you don't know what a zone is because you're a newer member, and that's fine, chat me and I'll let you know. But our zone, 2 districts gained members last year. And those 2 have very robust membership committees that work it, right? So they're growing Rotary, right? So we're not about change. I'm willing to go to whatever it takes to make us better. I just think at this particular point in time, if we vote yes, without really knowing what this model is going to bear fruit or not, I think we're mistaken. So with that, I'll get off my soapbox and thank you so much.
So one thing just to
Sure.
I think make a little bit clear is well, we have been working very closely with CNY, and Lizzie, the district governor up there, has been in almost all, if not all, of our meetings. It's also been made clear that we don't have to emulate exactly what they're doing. We have the freedom to go in a different direction if we determine that that's what's best for New Jersey. I think, we all recognize that upstate New York, where they are, central upstate New York, is a very different market than we have down here. So we're not being forced to follow exactly what CNY is doing. We're using them as a guide. We're using them for feedback because they were the first to do it. And like you said, they're 6-8 months in, and trying to feel their way through it. So we're not being expected to do exactly what's been done up there.
Okay. Great.
Jim?
Yes, good evening. I think I am the epitome of the description that Bob had. I am 79 and a half years old. And I guess I'm ready to be put out to pasture, but I have a couple ideas before I do. Number one, I don't understand what we're voting for. The only thing I can see that we're voting for right now is to merge 3 districts so that we go from 74 clubs and 1,700 members up to 184 clubs and 4,464 members. That's what we're voting for right now. The other thing I don't understand is all of these thoughts and ideas of how we could change, and I'm ready for change. Why can't we start doing it right now with our district the size that it is? Why do we have to do anything? We have the qualifications. We're not going to drop below 1,100 for a long time, and we have plenty of time to try to do what you think we could do right now with the size that we are. I really need some response to that, I think. And I think that steering committee should get started, and let's make it work. And all of the ideas, like Ray said, a lot of those ideas are already on the table for many years, and Ray has been one to make some of that work. He started a specific club like that, and some of those other ideas. But I think that's what we need to do, and that's what we need to focus on. If we need membership, let's focus on membership, and let's not deal with all of these other issues. If we have to deal with the district up above us at some point in time, I guess we'll have to do that. I really think that Rotary International is the one that needs to focus on change, because I believe that using 1,100 is members is the wrong number. You should be looking at clubs, and you should be looking at their relevance to each other. And probably I think smaller is better. I don't understand why they would think that we should stick with 75, 80 clubs. Certainly not 184. So I'll keep it at that. But I'm going to have a birthday in May. I'll be 80.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I'm coming to your party, Jim.
So, Jim, just, we are going to be starting this process. We've started it already, working with Jeannie, coming out of the situation we were in. It was a little hard to make sudden changes when she took office, but we are definitely moving in the direction of some of the philosophies that we've talked about with a team approach, getting more younger people involved and looking at new ways to do things. And I can tell you, we are definitely going to be focusing on, trying to create new clubs. I mean, the one thing that has been drilled into us at all of the meetings is in the growing areas, primarily in Asia and Africa and all, one of the things that's driving membership growth is club growth. And that's an area that the United States and Canada have been lacking in. And I mean, we certainly have been lacking in it, in our area. Mental health advocates is one of the few new clubs that we have. And the other thing that we've lacked and lagged in is Rotaract. And I can tell you, after working with the Rotaract Club from 74-9 on our RILA program, it is definitely a program we need to be putting more effort behind. But the size issue, Jim, is a matter of it's efficiencies and scale, and everything in the world is moving in that direction. So,
Bob, if I could just interject something. Number one, Jim, no one wants to put you out to pasture. You've been a tremendous leader for many, many years, and we all respect that. But in terms of resources, we don't have the resources and talent. We need a larger group of people to draw on. as Bob said before, there's no one standing in line to become the next district governor, and to Kristen Vandermeer's point, what does Cape May, how is that going to benefit someone in Denville? Well, again, it comes down to resources. By pooling our resources, we can have a statewide marketing campaign. I venture to say that most of our Rotarians in our district, if you asked them what our district number is, they probably wouldn't know it. And even if you go out in the street and say, well, I'm a Rotarian from District 7475, who knows where that is? But I think with more visibility, I think that's how we attract members from people from Cape May to Denville.
But 7 years ago, we had 5 districts, 5 trained governors helping all of those members try to improve and give them help. Then we go to 3. Now we have 3 trained governors serving much larger districts. And now we're going to take that away and have one large district over the whole state with one trained governor. And what the heck does that do for us? That's not. What is Rotary International going to do as far as training this team that you're suggesting we set up? And how does, I keep giving the example, Branchville connect with Atlantic City? I don't think it's a very good mix. I think we ought to look a little bit smaller rather than bigger in our approach to try to deal with some of these issues. I'll click off.
Well, thank you, Jim. Bob Zaglarski.
Thank you very much. I am a past district governor who is in favor of this proposal. As I said, I'm in favor of this proposal. In doing so, I accept the position of Bob Law and Joe in moving towards something that would get new people involved, maybe some diversity here in the planning of something new over a 2-year period. And as long as the purpose is to support clubs, increase membership, boost visibility, awareness, and impact in Rotary. And Joe said it before, we are competing for and losing the battle for the attention of potential Rotarians all over New Jersey. They're busy doing other things. They're just entertaining themselves at home or on their computer or on their iPhone. I was in a club not too long ago, which was older white gentlemen just like me. I am now in the best Rotary club I've ever been in, and that is a predominantly Black young women-centric club, doing the things that Rotary clubs or any organization, actually doesn't even have to be a Rotary club. It could be anything, any Rotary club in our community, and it's the best experience I have ever had. So I am kind of a mentor, but we sit back and every month we plan our Rotary month and our Rotary year, and we don't worry about bylaws, rules, or anything like that. We don't take attendance, and we get a lot more done. But there is a role for the district, and right now, our club has moved away from the district, moved away from Rotary International. And sometimes I wonder, why am I paying all this money for dues when we could be using that dues money instead to do other projects within our community? So please, let's find a way. And look, I've been involved in Rotary for 30 years. It's been a nice experience, but it's really time for a big change. And I'm hoping that something like this is the type of change that might save Rotary in the future. Right now, Rotary is in retrograde. That's a very organized retreat, and it's a nice experience for some of us older people, but it really isn't good enough for the younger people. So yes, please get some new young people involved in the planning of a new district concept, thinking outside of the box, because currently, while it's working for some of us older people, and I can understand that, It's really not working for the younger people, especially the younger people in my club. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Angela, you have a comment?
Yes, I have a comment. What an opportunity this is for everyone. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for all of us to rise above what we've done in the past and how we did it in the past and really embrace something new. And I agree with Bob. Wouldn't it be nice for us to be freed up as presidents of our club to get out there in our community and talk about Rotary? We don't. We can't. We're bogged down with so many things that we have to do that maybe just don't really relate to what we're doing right now in our community, but we don't know because we can't get out there. And if you look at the average club, and we've been doing some community work with 4 other clubs in Sussex County. When you get out there and you get a chance to talk to people, they're really interested. Some of them have no idea what Rotary is, what it means, how we can give back to the community. And that's really what it's all about. I mean, giving back to the community, service above self. I think this is an opportunity that we all need to embrace and not think about what we did in the past, but bring our clubs, maybe kicking and screaming, into the next generation of Rotary. And thank you, Bob, and thank you, Jeannie. I think it's a great opportunity for all of us.
Thank you, and thank Joe as well, because he's been part of it.
Can I make a comment?
Oh, I was going to call on Barry. He had
Oh,
his
okay.
hand up
Well,
for a while.
I think Stuart Kyle can't raise his hand, so that's why he's been like, why don't you give it to Stu?
Thank you. I may be the odd one out here, but I don't primarily think of Rotary as a community organization. We have great community outreach, but we're an international organization. We have influence and effect nationally and internationally. That's my tie to Rotary. The clubs, there are lots of clubs, and I just heard it now that they're so anxious to do community work. There's lots of groups that do community work. I think our problem is with international, that they don't understand or communicate the international impact of Rotary on a wide enough basis. We need PR and national advertising. I've been screaming about this for 50 years, so I guess what I have to say is maybe in the minority, but the strength of Rotary can be and is often on an international and national basis. We're not the big boys club of Montclair. We're the Rotary Club of Rotary International. And that's where I like to see our focus. I'm proud to be able to say that my money goes toward polio eradication around the world, not that I built a bigger Christmas tree downtown. That's not what we do. We have an influence internationally. And I think when we don't emphasize that, we don't emphasize what the good is that Rotary does. There's a lot of good ideas that are coming out now, but they certainly could be a North Jersey or a 75, 75-49 district initiatives. We don't need the statewide initiative. We need to have an initiative focused on what Rotary International is. Thank you. Proud to be a Rotarian, and I'm appreciate all you 70-year-old young guys that are in the club because I got 50 years in, and I'm well into my 80s, and I'm still mad about it. I've been mad for 50 years that RI doesn't do a better job of PR.
Thank you,
Thank
Stuart.
you, Stuart.
Barry?
Thank you, Jeannie. First, I too want to commend the work of the committee. I think you guys have done some phenomenal work. And I think some of my comments will acknowledge some of that, but I also think that there's some gaps about things that still need to be done. First, I do want to correct Bob. I was the sole author of the letter that I sent out. I garnered a lot of information from a lot of people around the district and encapsulated all of that into my thoughts, and I wrote that letter individually. I took a risk in sending it to all club officers. I would invite you as club officers to take that letter and share it with all of your club members. I'm also going to keep my comments shorter than I was planning because I'm watching people drop off one by one. The group's getting smaller. And I want to thank Bruce Bergen. I mean, you opened the session up. I mean, you took about half of what I was going to say, and thank you for that. But a couple of thoughts that I have. This process could be the best thing for our district, or it could be the worst thing for our district. We just don't know. And the vote that we're being asked to take is irreversible, irrevocable. If it doesn't work, pardon the pun, I mean, we're screwed. I mean, so I think the question that you're hearing is, what's the plan? I would give you the analogy. Someone gave this to me. It's like if our district were a for-profit business and we walked into a bank and asked for a startup loan and gave them our business plan based upon what we're talking about here, they'd laugh us out the door. And I appreciate the concept of, yes, we can take 2 years to plan this. But I think what you're hearing loud and clear is that more details first. And so I would just re-emphasize that. We talk about the team approach of the governor chain working together. That's great. That's not new. The governor chains have been working together since the merger time when we merged. All three of the people in the governor chain and the past district governor, immediate past district governor, was also part of that team as well. We talked a little bit about the undistricting process, and for those who've been around, that's left a bitter taste for many people. I find it. We're still on probation, by the way. Jeannie has to do quarterly reports justifying the good work that we're doing in our district, so that we stay out of trouble. I find it ironic that last year we were judged incapable of managing our own district because we had to have a special advisor assigned to us. And someone made the comment that we're still coming out of this. And I do think that we need to rebuild our district a little bit longer after this undistricting process. There's a lot to be done and a lot of things that we still need to work on before we step forward into a huge endeavor. The conversation about it's not for certain that 7490 would come to us or we'd come to them. I recognize that, but when I think about the politics behind that, every other district that surrounds 7490 says we don't want them, and so I think we have been open to having that conversation about whether it would be good or bad for us. Relative to membership, I come from a big club, and I come from a club that's been fairly successful with membership. We all know membership is local. It's what you do in your club and in your community that determines whether you're going to be successful. We could have the best branding, we could have the best marketing plan, we could have, the best people minds working together on membership, but if you're not doing it in your club locally and asking people to join, it's not going to happen. We have paid professionals at RI that are membership experts, and they've been working with the zone and districts to no avail. I mean, the plan, it's not working. I agree. I mean, and we do need to change in some way, shape, or form. Perhaps we need a professional study to say, why is this happening, and address that problem. What else do I have? I somewhat think that this might be a cost-cutting measure for Rotary International. 3 districts down to 1 saves a lot of money. I would go back to Rotary National and say, we want that extra savings to come back to this new entity in the form of additional resources for advertising or whatever. Again, I'm not opposed to thinking about this in a new way, shape, or fashion. But right now, there are just too many unknowns. I've been looking at the chat box. People saying, we're for this. This is good. We got to do something. I mean, but we've got to know way more details. There's no rush, in my opinion, to do this right now. I mean, we should wait and watch Central New York, see what they do. Let's take a year to see if they're successful. Let's look at their successes and failures and take that information and apply it to what we're talking about here. And what else? Oh, I've got a chuckle. We've got 30 old-time district governors living who were past district governors. 21 have signed on as being opposed to this, and it's not opposed to this. It's opposed to the fact that we're lacking information. We've got 4 more who are opposed but didn't want their name to appear on the list. Bob Zaglarski, congratulations. You're the only one out of 30 that is absolutely in favor of this. Go, Bob. We've got a couple who couldn't respond because of medical issues. They're really, really old. And we've got a couple from Bob's Club who are lovely people, but I'm sure they're in Bob's Club, so they've got to sort of sit back on this. I guess that's all I really have to say. I guess my plea to this is, I would say, based upon what we know today, vote no. And let's put it together. I've seen emails from some of the committee members. We can't do this unless we vote to merge or consolidate because no one wants to spend the time, energy, or effort to put this together without a guarantee that it's going to happen. And I think that that's just the opposite approach. We need to put it all together, share all the information, and then logically decide how we're going to move forward. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Barry. About of course, for the sake of doing everything in an open and transparent manner, if you just want to make sure everybody understand that we are going to post both Barry's and also Michael's letter along with our comments and responses on the under the NJ Rotary webpage. So you will get that, and the questions that that Barry just mentioned here, and also the rest of the question that he didn't talk about this evening are there, and our responses are there. And as Bob said earlier, we didn't want to spend the time reading our responses and the questions. So for those of you who are interested and who want to share the questions and answers with your clubs, please go to the NJ Rotary webpage and share that and point your members to the website for complete information. That's the best way to get the information. It's from our website. So if you go to the homepage under member info, there's a tab for NJ Rotary. And that's also in my email, like the past 15 emails, 20 emails to get you to that webpage. We have a few more questions. Michael again.
Just quickly, the question is, a number of people entered things in the chat box. Is that also going to be published? Number one. And number two, is someone going to summarize what the speaker said today, not just post what appeared in written documents and your answer to those documents? Will there be a summary of what speaker said? Thank you.
But the recording will be posted. I don't know how, Barry, how did we record this? Will the chat
Well, yes, we can.
showed up?
The chat box is saved, so we can publish the chat box.
Along with the recording, right?
Yeah, along with the recording. Hopefully the recording worked. We got a message early on that said we reached capacity. So I'm hopeful that it's going to be there, but no guarantees.
All right, Joe.
Yeah, could you perhaps explain before everybody disappears what the process is for the voting so that we know what's going to happen and when and how clubs are participating in this so that nobody can say they don't know?
I'm sorry.
Can you explain how the vote will be taken and what the clubs need to do in order to do? Are we getting one vote per club? Are we getting one vote per member? Are we getting, how is this working and how are the votes being taken? Who's
Okay,
tabulating?
the process,
What is
the voting process. Okay.
Yes.
And also in the chat box, I see that kind of related to what you were saying, Joe, that Margaret was saying, it seems from this meeting, the steering committee has already decided on this new district, and we're not sharing why that we even asked for a vote. Okay, now the steering committee does not get to decide on the direction of that the district it's taken. The steering committee presented this opportunity, and the clubs are the ones to make the decision. The decision will be made by our clubs. And the way that we're doing this is through the amendment of our current manual of procedures. That's the vote that Joe was just asking about. So the vote, it's a vote to change the amendment to form NJ Rotary. And you can find, all of you have the amendment in the email that we sent out on the 22nd of last month. That went to the entire membership. And the vote will take place on March 3rd, starting 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. All your presidents will get an email invitation for your president to cast a vote online for the amendment changes. It is a very straightforward process. It's even easier. Some of the presidents might remember how we had to vote online for the financials from last year. It's the same process, but this time we'll make it much easier. All you need to do is follow the directions from that email that will be sent to your president. Presidents only. All the president had to do is enter your email, select your club name. It's actually a pull down, so you don't have to look at the form to fill in the yes or no. The pull down, select your club name, just select yes or no, and enter your vote. You will have the opportunity to look at, it's an open ballot, it's not a secret ballot, so you have the opportunity to look at how other clubs have voted. There is a document along with the proposed change to the MOP amendment. In the second page of that has a table based on membership, how many votes that each of the clubs will be getting. So I will ask that if you're interested, you can look at the second page of that. For example, Joe, for your club, because you have 32 members, according to RI policy, you have one vote. These are not different votes. For clubs, who gets, for example, and for your club, Fanwood Scotch Plains, you have 64 members, and you get 3 votes. Your club can decide on how you're going to vote, and that vote will count 3 times. So Ann's club cannot cast 2 yes votes and 1 no vote. It's 1 vote being counted 3 times. This would be automatically calculated after you enter your vote. And the voting process, it's in compliance with our current manual procedures. Section 10.1 and section 3.7 are posted also under NJ Rotary webpage. Joe, that was, I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Bob?
Yeah. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to look around this Zoom call and look at the faces here that are on this screen, the other screens, and you decide whether this represents the population of New Jersey that we're in, which includes, I don't know, Newark and towns like that. Does it reflect at all the age of our population? This group of people has to give up control.
Absolutely.
It is a big problem, I understand, but you have to give up control. Otherwise, this organization is
I'm
going to
sorry,
die.
Bob.
I don't care whether you're sorry, Bruce. I really
You
don't.
continue to make this,
And I'm going to continue to make that statement, Bruce.
But you are very insulting to those of us who disagree with you. It has nothing to do with age. It has nothing to disagreeing with the
It does
goal.
have to do with age. It does have to do with age.
Disagreeing with the method. And for you to imply that my opinion is based on my age and not wanting to change is insulting. And you've been doing that all along. And I think it's wrong. And it's not in the Rotarian spirit.
And I
all
have
have
to
the
fill
same
in.
goal.
Excuse me, Bruce.
With how to do it.
Bruce, enough. Enough, Bruce. You've had your chance too much tonight. Enough.
No. Bob has spoken more than anyone and continues the insults against anyone who disagrees with him.
No,
and it's just not right.
Hang on, everybody. Hang on, everybody. I know we're all passionate about Rotary and we all want the best for our future, but we don't have to do that by yelling at each other. I know that we all want to express our opinion, and but let's just keep it down a notch. And I think we all appreciate that.
Jeannie, can I mention something? Sally Goodson.
Sally, yes, I see
I've
you.
been a member in Nutley and also Wallkill Valley. And I can remember when Kiwanis and Optimus and Rotary really were part of the community. They had the power, they had the presence. They're gone, or I haven't seen them, and we're on our way out. And we need the change, and people fight change, and I understand that. And change doesn't come because it should. It comes when it's too expensive not to change. Then it comes because it should. We need to look at this. Our organization has mainly old people with old thoughts, and we have to look at who is throughout New Jersey. It's not that big of a state. We can get along with everyone. You know why? Because we have to. And because we're an international organization, we're even bigger than just New Jersey. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. Let me put it this way. As many of you know, I go around and visit clubs. That's part of my job, and provide the best support we can, along with my team. But I have to tell you, last year we lost a club. This year, again, we lost a club. Those clubs that we lost is because they simply age out. And we have another club on the way out. Same reason, they're aging out. The club we lost, I believe the youngest member being their president for many years, probably in his mid-60s. I don't look at people's age, I don't know. But this is the youngest member. And the rest of the members, we're talking about way into their 80s. So I think we all can go back to our clubs and look at our club and really ask ourselves, what would this club look like 10 years from now, 5 years from now? All right. This is an opportunity again to do something differently. We listen to what you have to say and we understand. And this committee, the overall New Jersey Rotary Steering Committee, is trying to present an opportunity to do things differently. We understand. We're well aware of that we don't have the answers, but we're hoping to have a chance to build a different structure. For people who are more forward-thinking to come together to provide those answers, to design the organization, and hope that we can move forward and move the organization forward. So we don't have to be working and looking at our clubs aging out all the time. The decision, we hope that you will think about this, share what you learned here, what you heard here, and read about what you can find online. All the information are there for everyone to look at. Encourage your club members to look at the information, to really think amongst yourselves and make a decision at the club level as to what you believe it's the best for your club and best for Rotary's future. The committee, it's not urging all the clubs to vote one way or another. This decision is yours. We're simply here to provide all the information we have on this proposal. Again, the decision is yours. So the vote will take place on March 3rd. No matter what happened, no matter what the outcome from the vote, I hope everyone will remember that let's not let this proposal divide us. We spend way too much time to try to rebuild the district. And I'm hoping that regardless of the results, we will still work together to serve our community together and move forward together. Joanna, you have a comment or question?
Usually when people get emotional, it's because of hurt or fear. And as a Rotarian, I'm not hurt and I don't have fear. I have confidence in the Flemington Rotary. I have supreme confidence. And I've said this at 2 meetings. I've only been a member for 7 years, so I don't have the pedigree of some of the other members. But like all of you, I believe in service above self. And I said at our membership meeting, I think it was in September, that when I became president, our club worked on a statement of intent. We did not abolish the Rotary belief system. We did not abolish anything. But we as a club recognize the fact that it's not an age factor. And I take personal resentment to age. I'm not going to tell you my age, but I'm highly educated. I still work full time, and I'm responsible for thousands of children. And I'll know when I'm not capable to give a fresh idea because I stay current. But I am going to say this. I thank the committee. You took the data and it led you to the vote. And I thank you for that. That to me is good work. I mean that most respectfully. The area where I don't have confidence in, and I'm talking strictly as me, not the president of Flemington Rotary, is the initiatives that Rotary International have done to support and brand my Rotary. This year, we're hiring someone to do our social media. We got the idea from one of the presidents that was in a meeting. We're taking ownership for it. It's not that we don't respect the district, and I know the district number. It's that we have to take control if we don't want to lose it. So I value what you did. I value your interest. I value all of you because your lives, no matter how old you are, and I'm tearing up over it, you represent the goal every human being should have and every child should be taught, and that's service above self. And together, we just have to figure out what it looks like. But I have to tell you, as an individual, I have no confidence in support from the larger organization. And that's just me talking. Because I held a position in Madison. So I saw and lived in that community. How does Madison's membership grow? I've tried to model it, Mr. Kroll, and I know I'm not supposed to call you Mr. I've tried to model it. So the problem is not the faces I'm looking at. The problem is bigger than us. And again, thank you, and I so respect all of you.
Thank you. Just to answer a question on the chat box, Beth is asking about the finance of the 3 districts and grants. That was in Barry's letter. He mentioned that about the finance. There were questions about that, and we have written answers in that. So if you read the answers that we're going to be posting right after this meeting and still feel that you have additional questions, please let us know. Yeah, Bruce said that, yes, if we were going to do this on July 1st, 2017, Bruce, yes, the finances will be merged in terms of our all the assets, right? A portion of that could be the funding in each one of the districts, plus the asset we're going to get in form of resources from the Rotary Foundation, right? What we call DDF. So yes, all those will be merged, and we have some data on that, and it's in the written part of our response. Thank you. Mary.
Yes, thank you, Jeannie. Just quickly, I want to say thank you to the steering committee for all of your hard work that you did in bringing this opportunity to us. As I recall, when the vote was supposed to take place on February 24th, there was going to be a recap meeting. I believe that's I think it
The
was
day after.
meeting on this evening. So when the vote takes place on the 3rd, will there be a recap meeting on the 4th? I don't recall hearing about that.
Yes, that's been posted on the website. It's there. Yes.
And thank you.
Yeah, and you will find out the result of the votes because we have this time we have the voting form automated. You will hear about the result late Monday night since we have PELS at 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. So we will notify the clubs late that evening on the 3rd of the results. And we will have a recap meeting to talk about plans forward on the 4th, March 4th at 7 o'clock. Thank you, Mary.
That suggest you change the website that says the 3rd. The website, I just looked at it. It says that the recap meeting is at 7 o'clock on the 3rd.
Okay.
No, I'm looking at it right now. It says the 4th. The 3rd is the PELS meeting.
Right. It's a different meeting. The 3rd is for president-elect, the 4th is recap. Okay, I'm trying to look through the chat very quickly to see if anything that's not in our written response. Do all club members get a vote or just club presidents? That's actually a very good question. It depends on how your club want to handle it. The club president will cast a vote for your club. As I understand, different clubs are doing things differently. Some clubs, actually, club member will cast a vote, and then the club will decide based on the majority of the votes. Some clubs will have discussions, and then the board will vote on this initiative. So this is really a club decision as to how members will get involved in the voting process. I hope I answered that question. When should we expect the email? Monday or before? The email to invite club presidents to cast a vote will be sent out on March 3rd at 6 o'clock. In the morning, that is. Club presidents, if you do not receive that, please contact me. And there will be reminders going out during the day. Ken has a message to everyone. Ken believes that he's a dinosaur and living with a group of dinosaurs. We just don't realize how close to extinction we are if we don't change. And Bruce, I thank you for your comments just because that he doesn't agree with our method and probably how we present things this evening, but he does agree that change is needed. So thank you for saying that, Bruce. Okay, let's see. If we know, Stacy and Dennis said, if we vote no to this proposal, can we have the same opportunity next year? We really don't know. We will discuss that after after the vote on March 4th. There was another question somewhere here about what happens if the vote does not get passed. Then our current manual procedures will remain in effect, and we will discuss that as well on March 4th. We already delayed the vote by a week. So this vote is going to take place on March 3rd. What happens when all clubs don't vote on the 3rd? Well, if we hope that the clubs will actively engage in this initiative, and that's part of what we're asking clubs to do. And we hope that the club presidents will do that.
Jeannie, I apologize. You keep saying April.
Who is talking?
Me, Stacy.
Oh, sorry. I see you now.
Okay. So you keep saying the 3rd is the vote.
Yes.
I thought I just heard that it was the 4th.
The 4th is the recap meeting after the vote.
After the vote. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay. The meeting is March 3rd from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Got it.
Please tell Dennis that's the window that he can cast his vote. Okay. Margaret? Margaret, you have your hand raised? Are you still there?
For some reason, it appears Margaret's microphone is not working.
Oh. Okay, Margaret, you can still use the chat box. Okay, is there anyone else with the comment? Let me just scroll through the next screen to see if anybody. Ellie, did I understand correctly? You raised your hands earlier, but we didn't call on you? Oh, that was my mistake.
No worries, I'm here. A couple of comments. Peripherally, I have been intimately involved with the New Jersey Rotary proposal. You have no idea of the work that steering committee put into this. I appreciate all the comments tonight. It's interesting to hear both sides. I guess Branchville Rotary was the only club that did what it was supposed to do before it was supposed to do it. We met, we discussed it because we had all the materials at hand, and we instructed our president to vote on the 24th. And then the vote was postponed, and because of the issues that were raised, which seems to me they were raised way too late. This was not new information. We've been dealing with this basically since December. So I can't imagine that it took all of that time for the folks who are objecting to this to suddenly put together a broadside the week, 4 days before the scheduled vote. I found that very disturbing and certainly not in meeting the 4-way test. I hope everybody votes on Monday the 3rd. it seems to me if clubs don't vote, then they've lost their say one way or the other. Majority will rule, and we'll see what happens, and we'll see you at the 4th on the recap. Thank you for all of the input tonight. It was an amazing experience.
Thanks, Ellie.
Thank you. Anybody that I missed that you raised your hand and we didn't call on you? Oh, Margaret here. Okay. Margaret says these microphones aren't working. The question is why so soon for the vote after this meeting? Well, Ellie just said that this vote was supposed to take place on the 24th. We postponed it by a week, so we have this opportunity to have this meeting. Thank you. All right. Is there any more comments? Concluding remarks, Joe? Anything?
No, I have nothing further to add. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bob, anything else?
Nope. Thank you.
All right, well, again, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. This is an important issue, and we thank you very much, for getting involved in your time and energy, not only here this evening, but also talking to your clubs and discussing this issue and try to decide what's best for your club and for Rotary. So thank everybody, and thank you for all the healthy discussion, and we will see you again on March 4th. And if you have any questions regarding voting, you know where to find me. Thank you.